Light Yagami needs two things to kill you: your name and your face. Aizen's name isn't a secret. Every captain in Soul Society knows it: Sosuke Aizen. His face sat in official records for over 100 years, so this should be the shortest video on this channel. Light writes the name. 40 seconds pass. Heart attack. Done. It doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is going to change how you think about the Death Note. There's also one line buried in the notebook's rules that ends this entire matchup, and almost nobody remembers it's there. Stay till the end. But first we need to scale Light correctly, because most people get this wrong. Everyone says Light is smart. That's useless here. Being smart doesn't help you against a man who decides what you see. What matters is that Light's whole skill set is built around one problem: killing people whose identity he doesn't have. Take Ray Penber. Light doesn't know his name. He doesn't know how many agents are in the country. So he builds a situation on a bus, uses a hostage he created himself, gets Penber to show his own credentials, and then uses the notebook to make Penber hand over the names of every other agent in Japan. 12 people die, and the trail points nowhere. But here's the feat that matters for this video. To beat L, Light gives up the notebook and his memories of ever owning it. He builds a plan so deep that it requires him to not know his own plan. He becomes a genuinely innocent student, sincerely helping the investigation, sincerely trying to catch himself. Hold on to that. That's the answer to this entire video, and we're coming back to it. Now the rules, because this fight lives inside them. The human whose name is written in the notebook dies. No cause specified. It's a heart attack in 40 seconds. And here's the important part. The notebook does nothing unless the writer has the person's face in their mind while writing. Read that again. The notebook doesn't check a database. It checks Light's head. The kill is validated against what Light believes he's looking at. Second rule: Light can control a victim's actions for up to 23 days before killing them. Not a suggestion. Written behavior executed by the target for 3 weeks. Third, if he doesn't have a name, he can trade half his remaining lifespan for the Shinigami eyes and read any human's true name straight off their face. Fourth, and remember this one: a death note cannot kill a god of death. Now look at the man on the other side. Sosuke Aizen spent over a century inside the most heavily monitored military organization in his world, as a captain, watched daily by 12 other captains, some of them the oldest and most paranoid beings alive. Nobody noticed. Not because he hid well, because he arranged what they saw. His sword is called Kyoka Suigetsu, complete hypnosis, not illusion, not a trick of the light. It takes over all 5 senses of anyone who has seen its release and shows them whatever he decides: shape, sound, weight, smell. There is no flicker at the edge. As far as the target's brain is concerned, it is reality. And here's what people forget. The condition isn't fighting him. It's having seen the release once, ever. He performed it in front of the entire Captain Assembly a century before the story starts, as a formality. Everyone in that room was compromised from that moment, and none of them knew for 100 years. Then look at what he does with it. He doesn't win fights. He removes the possibility of one: his own death. An entire investigation formed around his corpse, examined up close by people who had known him for decades. It was never real. And at the end, it takes a sealing spell from a man who spent the whole story building a countermeasure plus a device that decided on its own to reject him. Even then, they don't kill him. They put him in a hole for 18,800 years, because killing him was never on the table. This isn't a swordsman. His weapon is the gap between what happened and what you think happened. So Light has the name. He's seen the face. He does the obvious thing. Sosuke Aizen. 40 seconds. Nothing. Now sit in Light's chair, because this is the worst moment of his life. Not because it failed, because there are 3 completely different reasons it could have failed, and each one demands a different response. 1. The face was never real. Everything Light has seen of Aizen could be output from Kyoka Suigetsu. The notebook validated the kill against Light's mental image, and that image was authored by Aizen. So the notebook killed a man who has never existed. And the Shinigami eyes might not save him either, because the eyes read a name off a face, and the face is the compromised channel. 2. Aizen is not human. In his own language, a Soul Reaper is written with the same 2 characters as the gods of death that follow the notebook around. The exact same word. And the rules say plainly that the notebook cannot kill a god of death. 3. Aizen is already dead. Soul Society is where souls go. Light is holding an instrument for ending human lives in front of something that ended a long time ago. Light doesn't get to find out which. And there's one more thing he works out, sitting in that room. A failure is information. Somewhere, someone just noticed that a heart attack was attempted. Aizen comes to him, not with an army. He walks into Light's room, sits down, and talks like they've already been introduced. He says he's been watching, that he found the pattern months ago. Not the criminals, anyone can see the criminals. The shape of the selection, the escalation, the moments where Kira killed to protect the schedule instead of the ideal. Then he says the thing Aizen always says, that in all the centuries he's spent among his own kind, he has never met someone operating on this level. He isn't offering Light a position, he's offering him company. Light isn't tempted, Light is calculating, because he's noticed the real problem in the room, and it isn't the offer. It's that Aizen came in person. Aizen has never needed to be anywhere, so the only reason to physically stand in front of a man whose weapon requires seeing a face is to give him a face to see. He's handing Light a target, which means he's certain that whatever Light does with it is either useless or useful to Aizen. And underneath that, the question Light can't close. How long has this been happening? Because if Aizen released Kyoka Sugetsu in front of him at any point, a hallway, a crowd, a screen, 5 months ago, then Light cannot audit a single one of his own memories. Aizen leaves without threatening him. He doesn't need to. The threat is that Light now has to treat his own eyes as a hostile source. Here's where Light does the thing that makes him Light. He accepts that he can't verify anything he sees and builds a method that doesn't need him to. He stops looking. He never seeks Aizen out again. Every piece of information now arrives through other people, never through his own senses. A compromised channel you know is compromised is just a channel you route around. Then he turns people into instruments. The 23-day rule. He can't use it on Aizen, so he uses it on everyone else. Ordinary people with no connection to any of this. Go to this place, record what you see, send it here, then die of something unremarkable. They aren't witnesses. Witnesses can be hypnotized. They're sensors. And their instructions were written before they ever encountered Aizen, so their behavior can't be steered by him. The notebook overrides intent. Aizen can make a man see a wall where there's a door. He cannot make him refuse to walk through the door his death sentence already ordered him to walk through. And then the move Aizen has no answer to. Light gives up the notebook, again. He surrenders ownership, loses every memory of Kira, and sets the recovery conditions somewhere he won't be able to remember, triggered by people who are already dead when it fires. Think about what that does. Aizen's entire power set operates on a mind. He reads intent. He stages a reality tailored to what the target expects. All of it needs the target to be running a plan. Light deletes the plan. For weeks, the most dangerous man alive is an innocent student with no idea what he's part of, walking through a scheme he cannot betray under any interrogation or hypnosis because he doesn't know it exists. That is the only real counter to Kyoka Suigetsu anyone in either story has produced. And Light invented it years earlier, to beat a detective. So does he win? No. Let's be straight. Light never gets a body. Every path to killing Aizen runs through a face he can't trust, a clause he can't test, and a device that decided on its own terms who was allowed to die. The notebook was built for humans. Aizen stopped qualifying a long time ago, but that was never the goal, and if you've been paying attention you already know it. What Light achieves is something nobody in Aizen's world ever managed. He becomes unreadable. He removes himself from the category of things Aizen can arrange. To a man who has spent 100 years knowing exactly what everyone in the room will do, that isn't an inconvenience. It's the first new experience he's had in a century. Which is why Aizen doesn't kill him either. He could. He was never in danger. He lets Light keep building, because his ambition was never really the throne. He said it himself. He was looking at an empty seat because nobody was standing beside him. He isn't fighting Light, he's raising him. There's one detail neither of them accounted for. Kyoka Suigetsu controls the 5 senses of anyone who witnessed its release. Everyone in that hall. Everyone on that battlefield. Ryuk was never in the room. Ryuk has been standing behind Light this whole time, eating an apple, watching a version of events nobody else in this story has access to. And he is under no obligation to tell Light what he's actually seeing.